friends, we meet again. What's up, guys? It's me, RS, Rising, Tony, whatever you want to call me. Welcome back to the channel, and today is a very special day because as of quite a while actually, you guys got the channel up to 1,000 subscribers plus at this point. And I mean, whew, I definitely didn't expect that, honestly. Like, if you would have told me that in about a year and a half or so that I would reach 1,000 subscribers, I probably wouldn't believe you, but I mean, here we are. You all got me here. You helped me reach that goal, and I don't know what else to say other than thank you. Thank you so much for your support and your love, and not only that, your faith in me, that you want to continue watching my content. It really means a lot to me. When I first started this channel, the goal I had was just, I wanted there to be more detailed content about Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future in particular, because beforehand there wasn't really a lot. It was mostly just gameplay related stuff, just like gameplay straight from the game, or just the music, and that's pretty much all we had. And 2021, when it was like still deep in the pandemic era, I decided I wanted to take matters into my own hand, and I wanted to make my own channel just dedicated to a bunch of Jet Set Radio stuff, with a few other things to the side like Persona and Sonic, because you know that's also what I like. And well, here we are, June of 2023, and I gotta say, it is nice to see that there are still people who really care about Jet Set Radio and are still interested in content for the game. And it kind of surprises me when like people come into my videos and they're like, oh my god, you're someone who creates strictly Jet Set Radio content? That's amazing. And I'm like, man, that's really cool. People can still learn something new to this day from a 2-decade-old game, or games in this case, because they both reached their 20s at this point. I gotta say though, I think it's really kind that you guys want to learn more about Jet Set Radio through me, and that you guys want to see how I talk about Jet Set Radio and hear my thoughts about anything Jet Set Radio related. You know, it definitely like encourages me. Like, if I'm able to like bring inspiration to those who want to learn more about Jet Set Radio, you know, it makes me feel like I actually like accomplished something with the content I'm making. And I've been told that you guys really like how I structure my Jet Set Radio videos and such, and I really appreciate that. I gotta say, I'm definitely still learning the ropes of this whole content creation thing. I'm not perfect at it yet, but I mean, I'm not perfect at everything when you start. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I gotta work on. Like, I still need to work on getting better equipment. And I mean, this room, my house of solitude, this is really all I have in terms of the space to make my videos. It's definitely not a lot. And just in general, in terms of speaking, that I just need to work on, because I just in general have a speaking problem, and I can't do much about it except just try my best to speak as clearly as y'all possible, because I want to be able to portray my words the best way I can. Okay, I think I've gotten all my thoughts out now. We can move on to the Q&A section of the video, and I've got quite a few questions that I can answer from you guys. So let's just jump right into it. This question is from Picaro. Who would you like to shout out in this community that supported you and got you to where you are? Oh jeez. Where do I begin? Because there is a lot. There are a lot of people I have to thank. Starting from just the people I met when I was doing competitive Smash back in 2016, 2017, and I'm still friends with those guys, and I've known them for like
7, 8 years now. It's been a really long time, and they've been having my back for such a long time, and they've encouraged me, and they've helped me be more comfortable with myself as a person. And then, there's a lot of people in the Just Set Radio community when I first started my YouTube that I really want to thank. Like, well, I want to thank False Proof because he was actually like my inspiration when I was watching him like way back, and he kind of inspired me to want to make Just Set Radio videos in the first place. I also want to shout out my friend Rudy Queen. That seeing her art also inspired me to want to make more content, and seeing just how determined she is in making her own Just Set Radio related content through art. Uh, I really wanted to have that same sort of drive and determination as she does. So I thank her for that. I want to thank Shadow and Vidal because those guys are definitely my homies. Shadow, especially, if it wasn't for him, like I wouldn't have met a lot of the other DJs who was making like Just Set Radio inspired music, and he really helped put my foot in the door with like networking and such with other members of the community. There's so much more in there. There's Wint, there's Deadtooth, there's Kiki, CPU, there's Rad. There's so many people I have to thank, and they're some of my closest friends, and I hold them like really near and dear to me, and I can't thank them enough for really sticking around with me, being my motivation, and I'm happy to still have them as my friends. So those guys mean a lot to me, and they were the ones who helped me get to where I am today, and why I'm so happy making content now. This question is from BLS. Will you remember me after you hit 100k? Of course I'm gonna remember you. You're one of my closest friends. I'm definitely not gonna forget you. And hey, who knows if the world is still gonna be intact by the time I reach 100k subscribers. But I mean, of course I'm not gonna forget you. I'm not gonna forget those who has helped me get to this point in my YouTube career right now. You guys mean a lot to me, and I appreciate everyone who supports my stuff. And you're one of my closest homies, so I'm definitely not forgetting you. This question is from Dead Hell Archive. What is your general opinion on Just Set Radio inspired games, stuff like Umurangi Generation or Hover? I've seen Umurangi Generation and Hover. I've definitely seen a little bit of Hover, and for the most part, I've kind of just ignored those games. While I think that it is like really nice that there are still like people that are inspired by Jet Set Radio style, and they want to continue like making like similar games, it's cool. But like those games haven't like had something to really like grasp me and wanting to like really try it or stick around. Like the first one that actually has caught my interest now is Bomb vs Cyberpunk, and that's in like 2 months now, and I'm definitely excited to play that game now since we know a little bit more of it and it actually has release date. And I've seen butterflies look really cool, and in general I just don't really pay too much attention to like Just Set Radio like inspired games. And while I think it's cool that people still want to make games in that style, there was not one that really like grasped me into like, yeah, I really need to play this to get my Just Set Radio fix. Like if I wanted to play Just Set Radio, I'll simply play Just Set Radio. This question is from Rad. Hey Rad, do you usually have a schedule when making videos? If so, does it help to follow it, or can it be stressful? So here's the funny thing about how I release videos. So I have an entire list of videos I want to make, but like in terms of like when I upload them, I actually don't really have a schedule. I have a goal for myself. Usually every month is like to release at least 2 to 3 like main videos a month, to keep consistent. But I actually don't have like a schedule. Like I don't have like, oh, I'm gonna upload weekly. I'm just like, okay, every month I'm gonna release like 3 main video essays that I really want to do, and that's it really. Every month. I should definitely come up with a more consistent schedule to follow, but right now I don't trust myself to really follow the schedule because life happens. So I'm rather fine with just sticking with the goal of releasing at least 2 to 3 videos a month. This question is from Kiki CPU. Hi Kiki. I see Jet Set Radio and Persona as similar in the sense that they both have great music and unique art styles. Is that what draws you to both games? Yeah, I definitely would say that. The reason I got into Persona in the first place was because when I saw Persona 5, like the style of the game like really hooked me. Seeing the Phantom Thieves and all their costumes and how every attack was coming out from all the personas. Like that was actually like my first exposure to like the Persona gameplay. And that was initially what attracted me to Persona and why I wanted to play it in the first place. I go into much more detail in my Persona 5 video, but like it's kind of the same thing with Jet Set Radio. When I was a kid, like I saw these characters just skating around in these quirky outfits and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then I got to play Jet Set Radio and hey, the rest is history for that. And it's pretty much the same for Persona. It took a little longer with Persona because I was pretty apprehensive because I wasn't a big RPG guy. But I eventually got to it and now I'm deep into my Persona hyperfixation. And you know, because of Persona and Jet Set Radio sharing that similar element of having really stylish aesthetics is why I started putting these two franchises together and wanted to see the characters interact. Like, you know, I have Beat with Ren and I have like Yo-Yo with Ryuji, or you know, the art that you actually did for me when I commissioned you, Mitsuru and Cube, who are two of my favorite female characters ever. And you know, they all just fit nicely together. And honestly, it wouldn't be weird seeing like Jet Set Radio characters in the Persona universe or vice versa. They actually like really connect together very well. And I think it really has to do with the style that both games use for each of the games. Hell, you can just take the outfits that the Persona characters use from the Persona dancing games and you could put them in Jet Set Radio and they honestly wouldn't look weird. I know, right? It's actually kind of cool. But yeah, I would say that the one thing that Jet Set Radio and Persona like really share with each other is that they're both like very stylistic in terms of aesthetic and their music is just banger. No doubt about that. You also asked me, what is your goal with YouTube content creation? Plus, would you like to make it a full-time job? I don't know about a full-time job. Cause see, where I'm at now with YouTube, I obviously like really love doing YouTube because you know I just generally love making videos and editing videos and just making content. Hell, that's what I went to school for and that's what I got my bachelor's degree in. I got my bachelor's degree in communications and digital media. So like doing YouTube is like sort of in the realm of what I'm gonna be working towards as a career, whatever that's gonna be. Like the goal I see for myself in the future is like, hey, maybe I could be part of a TV show and work on something like that. But like, hey, you know, sometimes the future is very unpredictable. Hell, the future is always unpredictable. So me doing YouTube full time, I'm actually not too sure if that would be like a long-term goal for me. I obviously still want to do it. I don't think I'm going to stop doing YouTube anytime soon. Hell, there's always something to talk about and I have so much to like explore and stuff. And there's always going to be something new coming out, you know? Whether it's about Sonic, whether it's about Persona, or a new game, or some new IP. And hell, maybe eventually I'll still be alive and a new Jet Set Radio game finally comes out. Hey, I think me doing YouTube for like a long time is going to be like a long-term investment. I'm still going to be continuing making content into the future, but make it into my full-time job, I don't think I'm planning on that. I'd rather focus on like getting like a job, like just a regular like blue collar job or something. I don't know. But like YouTube will always be something on the side that I will always just continue to do because that's my hobby. That's part of what I went to school for like communications and such, and it's gonna help me towards my career in the future. Hey, who knows? This question is from Wint. Hey Wint. I'm pretty sure it's agreed that OG Jet Set Radio is objectively the better game. Yet, despite this, why do you think folks like you prefer Jet Set Radio Future over it? Ooh, this one. This question is a very loaded question. Hell, this is a question I would probably save for a video. But you know what? I could give the insight about it now. The main reason for me liking Jet Set Radio Future more than the OG Jet Set Radio, well, part of it is like kind of nostalgia since that's the game I played first, and I played that game way longer than I've played the OG game. But there is a better reason why I think most people prefer playing Future over the OG game, and it really has to do with accessibility. The problem with the original Jet Set Radio is just that it's really tough to get into in terms of like controls. Like when I've seen like Rudy Queen play the OG Jet Set Radio for like the first time in a long time, she struggled a lot. She struggled a lot with the physics and how the control works because like the jumping is like really stiff, and that game has like a huge focus on momentum, and building momentum in that game can be a little annoying, especially like in terms of like grinding on rails and such. And it's also like pretty slippery. You're also timed, so that's a lot more pressure on you. And then in the later levels like grind square or fight or flight, that entire third chapter, that's when the game gets like super tough on you. And if you haven't gotten used to the controls yet as a first time player or as a beginner, you're probably gonna hate that. Future, on the other hand, Future is like very accessible. It's more accessible in the sense that the tutorial is baked into the game in a way where it doesn't break the pace of it. Like the moment you start the game, just like an OG game, you get a tutorial, and then throughout each chapter you'll be given like some sort of tutorial of how to like maneuver around certain areas in the map. And not only that, you also have Roboy, who is also your dedicated tutorial, which you can choose to go to anytime you want. And I think that's the benefit of Jet Set Radio Future's like open world like gameplay style, is that you also have a lot of freedom. Like you're not timed at all. Like you have the time to like get used to the controls, and Jet Set Radio Future's controls overall are like much more smoother for the type of game that it is, being an open world platformer game. And then in terms of like direction, like you can just pause the game and the game will tell you like what you need to do. And that's what I think Future will always have over the OG game, because of the new open world style that it has, and giving players much more freedom to really get used to the controls, and especially like with mechanics, with like being able to trick on rails to regain momentum again, and how the platforming physics are now, and giving you the players like directions on what to do and where to go, and also just having a dedicated tutorial guy separate from like the main game so that it doesn't break the pace, and you could just go back and do those lessons again and again just in case you miss something. Like I love that about Future. Like it's much more like accessible to new players to getting into the game, much more than the OG game. And I think just in terms of overall feel and physics, that for a lot of people, Future does it much better than the OG game. Now, I don't think one game is objectively better than the other, but that's another topic for another day. This question is from Yusuke. Hey Yusuke. Have you read or do you intend to read Air Gear? I'd like to hear your thoughts on the series. I've actually never gotten the chance to hear much about Air Gear or even seen like any manga for it, or at least around my area. But I did see the anime for it. Well, the first episode, anyways, and it really interested me. Like, I like the style of it. I love the characters, and I mean, it's dudes and skates. I mean, and considering I'm a Jet Set Radio fan, I'm already gonna like that. But I think I'm probably gonna get back around to watching the anime so I can actually get a feel for what it's like, because I don't remember a whole lot to it. I did remember thinking it was cool, but then I just never went past the first episode. I'm kind of messy with anime. I'm not like too huge on like watching anime in general. Like the last anime I watched was This question is from Carlos. They ask, if we were to get a new game in the series made by Sega, what is something in the game you would like to see in gameplay or features? Ooh, this is something I was actually also going to save for a video, but we can get into detail about that too. But one thing I've been interested in is I think they're able to combine the arcadic style of the original Jet Set Radio and Future together. I think that's really possible, and how I see it is they could have like a huge giant hub world for you to explore. Like, it would be like the main area, and you could be able to explore it. You could talk to people, you can buy stuff like cosmetics or extra power-ups or whatever, like much like how Future style is. And then you can like take side quests and missions, and like the main mission is going to be like in the style of the OG game, where you have a timer, there's going to be obstacles in the way, and it's going to be point based, and then you get ranked at the end. I think that is a good way to have the best of both Jet Set Radio games together, but I will save much more detail for when I eventually make a video on that. Question is from Pyro King. What is your opinion on Soda and Slate? Soda. He is definitely the most forgotten GG member, which is honestly very sad because I actually think he's pretty cool. Well, first off, he's based on Kilroy. Honestly, if I didn't have friends to tell me who it was based off of, I just wouldn't have known. But like, now that I've seen what Kilroy looks like, and then now when I look at Soda, the resemblance is obviously there. And I just think he's cool overall. He's literally just a dude with like a big jacket covering his mouth, and then his fit is just like pretty normal overall. He's got the weird squiggly hair, and he has Squidward's nose, and most people kind of think it's ugly, and yeah, he is, but I think that's the charm of him. That's why I also like Korn. I mean, Korn is ugly, but he's also very smart, and I think Soda is also smart in his own way. You can see in game that he knows a little bit more about like Rikaku's tech and whatnot. And you know what? He's like that guy. He's kind of like in the shadows. He's like on the low. He's not very social, but like you could probably come to him for like any sort of information and he'll be able to tell you because he's just smooth like that. He's got connections. I actually liked Soda quite a bit. He may not be like one of my favorite characters to like play in Future because I just don't like having the 25 hands. But like in the OG game, I think he's like the most preferred, easier graffiti character for me to pick. I just like him. He's actually a pretty cool character, and I wish he wasn't hated as much, and I also wish that he wasn't forgotten, especially in Future, because honestly, who actually went back to Highway Zero before you have to go back to fight the Pyromaniac? Like, you wouldn't have known Soda was there unless you decide to talk to Combo in Chapter 6 during the Noise Tank invasion, which I doubt people did. This question is from Leds. Are you thinking about making a content for Bomb Rush Cyberpunk when it releases? Of course I'm gonna make content about Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Of course. I mean, I'm sure other people who love Jet Set Radio are also gonna make content around Bomber or Cyberpunk. So I mean, hey, I'm definitely gonna get in there. And since I'm actually like interested in the game now, I'm probably even gonna have a lot to talk about for that game for quite a while. So hey, when August drops, expect me to stream that game. Expect multiple videos on it. It's gonna be a fun time. This question is from Spin Dasher. What are your favorite parts of the Jet Set Radio community? I think my favorite part about the Jet Set Radio community is just seeing their different interpretations of characters. Like everyone has like a different way of drawing like every character, and everyone also has like their own unique headcanon for everybody, which I always find very interesting because of course I also have my different interpretations of how I view each Jet Set Radio character and whatnot, and what scenarios I could see them in. And it's just nice seeing what everyone else think about these characters and how they view them. That's my favorite part mostly. This question is from Havoc. So, since the leak has everyone talking, what are your hopes for the future of Jet Set Radio? Do you think that leak last year was also true as well? And it's funny that this question was way back in April, and now here we are in June, which a lot of stuff has happened now. So, as you know, Persona 3 Reload, the Persona 3 remake that was in that leaked footage, along with the Jet Set Radio leak. So, that's kind of confirmation that that leak is probably real. Now, the question is, what happened to Jet Set Radio? We don't know. As for the future, well, we just got a crossover for Roller Champions, which features Beat and Gum. They look hideous, by the way, but this was the most shocking thing to happen this week because I was just not expecting anything Jet Set Radio related to happen. But here we are. We have a new crossover with this Ubisoft game that I've never even heard of. Will I buy it? Well, it's free to play, but I'm sure Beat and Gum, I have to buy them, but probably not. I'm not that desperate, but I mean, to see that we actually have something new Jet Set Radio related, even if it's not a game, it's really cool. It's not forgotten. It's not forgotten. Maybe eventually, maybe something new might happen. Now I have hope. Now I have hope that maybe in the future that something has to be cooking. We don't know what, but something will. Oh man, your name is pretty tough to pronounce, I'm not gonna lie, but you asked me what's my favorite Persona game. It's definitely Persona 5 Royal. Definitely Persona 5 Royal. It's the game that definitely connected with me the most. While I really thank Persona 5 Strikers for like really getting me into Persona, and then I'm not even gonna talk about the amount of hours I've poured into Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. If I still had to choose my favorite Persona game, it's definitely Persona 5 Royal, easily, without question. And if you want to know more about what I love about Persona 5 and what it means to me, you can check out my video. This question is from Ant. Thoughts on Bomber Cyberpunk? I know I started off thinking that the game was not going to be kind of fun, and you know, considering we didn't really get much information on it, and then it got like delayed and it was kind of radio silence for a while. But now that we've saw a little bit more of it, and now that it has a release date, I'm kind of excited for it. I think it's gonna be a very cool game, and I can't wait to like make content on it. This question is from Indie Daniel. Have you played the Yakuza games? I have not played a Yakuza game yet. I have Yakuza 0 on Steam, and I have not touched it yet. I don't know why I haven't touched it yet, but I keep hearing great things about it and that I should play it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I will eventually, later, who knows. And these last few questions are from Panda Square. Hi Panda. What made you want to start your channel and the particular content that you make is the first question. So I know I probably said this in like the beginning of the video, but the reason I wanted to make Jet Set Radio content was because there wasn't a lot of like in-depth Jet Set Radio content. If you just looked up Jet Set Radio like beforehand, like the most you would really just see is a bunch of gameplay videos, uh, the music being posted, and you would have like some rare videos where it would go a little in depth about the games and such, but it was like very few of them. And I was like, you know what? That needs to change. I want to be able to make more in-depth Jet Set Radio content because I think these two games have quite a lot to talk about and quite a lot to offer. And there are just some stuff that wasn't really out there, like the special dialogues, like that wasn't really out there for people to see, and I definitely wanted to change that, even though, oh boy, it took hours upon hours and a couple of retries to get every single special interaction and dialogue, but it was worth it. It's finally out there online for people to see, and they get to learn more from that video about Jet Set Radio Future. And yeah, I just wanted there to be more in-depth Jet Set Radio content on YouTube. The second question is, what is one thing about Jet Set Radio that you think it does really well and why? I think the one thing Jet Set Radio really does well is how it tells its story through its characters and its world, especially in Jet Set Radio Future. Like, of course, we have all the character dialogues and such, which helps us learn a little bit more about, you know, the characters that we're playing as, even if it's not like super in-depth, but it's a little something to make the characters feel more fleshed out. And then we also just have the environments, like you have like Rokakudai Heights, which is just like super abandoned, and then you have Kibugaoka Hill, which has those missiles, and you don't really know why it's there or why the doomsday clock is there and what's that for. And then the blackout in 99th Street, like you don't know who's really responsible for that, on top of like, you know, the crazy assassins and like the demon summoning and whatnot. You know, I think Jet Set Radio is able to tell like a really interesting and very wacky story with its characters and how it's portrayed through its visuals. Because, you know, you'll always hear everyone talk about how great Jet Set Radio is visually, but like it's true, it is great, and it really adds to like the storytelling and the world building of the game, even if it's not like super deep. I think it does that really well, and it's done really great by having DJK be your narrator and your in-game navigator. And the final question is, what has content creation taught you as your channel has continued to grow over time? It's definitely shown me the importance of titles, thumbnails, and tags. Like, it's like super hard for me to like really create like a good thumbnail sometimes. Like, I'll always have like the topic and like the content I want to make, and then, you know, the video comes out fine. But then when it comes to like making a title that will like really attract the audience, and then also having like a description, and then also making a thumbnail that will like instantly grab people to want to click on my video in the first place, like that's been the hardest part for me, and it's still kind of the hardest part for me still. Like, sometimes I still don't know what would be the best way to grasp my audience. Like, what language should I use for people to be interested? I don't want to be like super clickbaity and such, but I want to have like a title and a thumbnail that would make people actually want to be interested in watching my stuff, even if they haven't like stumbled upon like my channel before. I'm still working on that. That's a work in progress, but that's definitely been the thing that making YouTube content has taught me the most. And with that, the Q&A is finished, and all I gotta say is thank you all so much for participating. You are all such wonderful people. Shout out to everyone who participated in the Q&A. I'm very happy that you did, and I just wanted to thank all of my subscribers again for making me reach this goal of 1K plus. And hey, I'm not gonna be stopping anytime soon. We're just gonna keep rolling here, and I'm gonna just keep making the content I want and doing the best I can, and making my stuff very entertaining for folks. Uh, I'm still very inexperienced with this stuff, and hey, I'm not saying that I know what I'm doing completely, but I'm doing my best to just be myself, be very kind to others, and just make sure I'm making great content for everyone to enjoy. And all I can say is thank you all for believing in me. I wouldn't be here without you.